I have some news. It's not great news, unfortunately, but it's something I think you want to hear. Yesterday, I delivered my Dacia Spring to its new owner. Yep, I've sold it. And I know that that will come as a surprise to some of you who will be wondering that we were just kind of getting started with it from a content point of view. Obviously, there's only been a few videos with the Spring, and on the whole, it's been really, really popular. Quite a lot of people are quite interested in what it's like to live with this little city car, especially because it is one of the cheapest new EVs you can buy in the UK. And unfortunately, yes, I have just sold mine, and I'm sure the immediate reaction to that will be, well, I told you it was crap, so of course you got rid of it already. And the first thing I want to say is, in no way have I done this because I didn't like it, I wasn't getting on with it, anything like that. I absolutely loved it, and I miss it already. Unfortunately, the reason it has gone is of no reflection on the car itself. I was fully prepared to embrace owning it. It was serving as a loan car, courtesy car for the business. I was using it for other sort of running around stuff for the business, so picking customers up from the station and those kind of duties. And it was actually doing really, really well at that. I hadn't done loads of miles in it. I had done just over 1,000 miles by the time it was sort of handed over to its new owner. So obviously not huge mileage in the 4 months that I'd owned it, but it was definitely serving a purpose, and it was useful to have around. But unfortunately, it just didn't quite work out. Would I buy another Dacia Spring? Yes, absolutely. In fact, I think I will. I think in the future, and certainly as prices continue to soften, so you can now, especially if you want the 45 model, you can pick them up for well under 10 grand. I think 9495 is the cheapest 45 Expression I've seen advertised for sale. 10995 is what I sold the 65 Extreme for as a retail car through the business as a dealer. The same kind of money, yes, you can pick them up from like Motorpoint and places like that. They are starting to appear at that kind of money, and I think it represents exceptional value for money at that kind of price. And yes, I lost a couple of grand on it in a couple of months. Not ideal, and I'm sure we can say that, well, actually that was a really expensive motoring, but at the end of the day, if you are going to buy a new or nearly new car of any description and try to sell it within a few months of buying it, you are going to lose money. That is a fact of life. If I had bought that car into stock, if I'd paid trade money for it, bear in mind I bought it retail from a Renault dealer, but even if I'd paid trade money for it, if you kept it in stock for 4 months, most people try to turn their stock over every 30 days, and certainly something that's been around for 60 or 90 days has been here for far too long, you would expect the value to have softened up a little bit. And ultimately, for a car that I bought with the intention of actually using and employing in the business and making the most use of possible, selling it after a short period of time was never on the radar. I would never have bought such a new car as stock for the business to sell on to make a profit. It just wouldn't work. You are competing with car supermarkets, you're competing with main dealers, and ultimately you are competing with the manufacturer and their relentless pursuit of discounting and increasing volume. Therefore, it would be mad to actually buy it with the view that you could sell it and make a profit on a car that's, months old and was pre-registered when it was new. It's never going to be a profit-making endeavour. I think the good thing is I took a part exchange against it, which is interesting because I took a 2010 Renault Twingo in part exchange, and it's the kind of car really I think sums up what a lot of people say to me they would rather have instead of the Spring. I'd rather have a little petrol car because, you don't need to worry about charging, and you fill it up and off you go, and you'll do maybe 300 miles to a tank and it'll be absolutely great. And yeah, I'll give you that. Range is the one redeeming feature that it has. And having driven it 150 miles home from Doncaster yesterday, because I delivered the Spring to the customer and drove home in the part exchange, it really is the only redeeming feature. It was horrible. I'm probably shooting myself in the foot here because I need to sell this thing, right? Took it in part exchange, but It is absolutely horrible. It's noisy. It's as slow as a week in the jail. People tell me the Spring is slow, but actually, as we established in the previous video, the 65 model is not slow at all. It gets up to speed fairly quickly. The sort of immediate availability of torque you get from the electric drivetrain means you never really feel like it's slow. Yes, it runs out of puff a bit at higher speeds, but around town and even joining motorways and stuff like that, you never think, oh, this is a bit slow. Well, I'll tell you, a 1.2 petrol Renault Twingo is very slow. 0 to 60 in 15 seconds, and you feel every single one of them as you work your way up the 5-speed manual gearbox to try and extract a little bit of power from it. It's horrible. It's horrible to drive. It's noisy. My ears were ringing by the time I got home. Whereas when I arrived to drop the Spring off to the customer, I was in relative comfort. No, it's not a long-distance cruising car, but it's a lot quieter because you don't have this little engine screaming away. You don't need to thrash the hell out of it to get it to move. It is better in almost every conceivable way. And obviously, that's before we get into like equipment levels, because yes, a 2025 Dacia Spring Extreme is significantly better equipped than a basic 2010 Renault Twingo. It's not fair to compare them in terms of equipment because the Twingo would have been a base model when it was new. It's got hardly any equipment in it. But just the way it drives and the way it sounds is far, far superior. And I'm sure the new owner is going to be very, very happy with it. But if you do want to buy a 2010 Renault Twingo with 45,000 miles on the clock for $2,000-ish, give me a call. We can have a deal because it does need to go. But I'm not going to give you a glowing report of how amazing it is. It's a decent car. There's not much wrong with it. You know, it doesn't seem to want for anything. It's only done 45,000 miles, so you'd expect it not to really. But it's just not very nice to drive. And I'd rather have the electric car all day long. So, with all that said, why has the Spring gone? Well, for completely unrelated reasons. Unfortunately, my day job is in IT consultancy. I work as a contractor for a very large organisation. And a week ago, I found out that the agency in the middle that provides me to that end client was going into administration. So unfortunately, when that did then happen, a few days ago, I immediately lost my job because the company that actually provides me to the company I'm providing services to doesn't exist anymore. So the contract's immediately cancelled. I'm out of work, and I'm probably not going to get paid for most of the work I did in June and in July so far. So it's a pretty big kick in the teeth. Now, fortunately, we are working things out, and I will be back at that company providing services fairly shortly. They are doing the necessary paperwork to basically bring me in through another third party. It will be fine. However, in the short term, I need to focus on making sure the bills are paid and all that lovely stuff, because I'm going to have a little bit of shortage of cash. And therefore, when you got 10 grand's worth of car sitting there, that it's not essential. It's not essential to keep the business running. It's nice to have and it's useful, but it's not essential. Selling it, getting my money out of it, helping me tide myself over a little bit. And now I won't need all of that money, but I'll need a little bit of it just to smooth things out. And then once things have gone back to normal, I can put the money back into the business and we can get back on it. So selling the Spring was the obvious thing to do. There's some other fleet adjustments happening. So the NV200, those of you that may have seen the previous videos on the 189,000 mile Nissan ENV200, well, unfortunately, it's another casualty of this. It's on its way next weekend to a new owner who will be very happy with it running around town. And you know, they're not going to be bothered that the range is a little bit rubbish and the battery's a little bit tired. Again, it's a little bit of a pain. The van is very, very useful. I use it a lot for ferrying parts around and stuff like that, but it is not essential and the wheels can keep turning without it. I think what will probably happen is once everything settles back down and I need to look to either replace the Spring or replace the van, I might look at buying a nicer electric van. 75 kilowatt hour Stellantis electric thing maybe would be a good thing. But I'm not sure at the moment. We're going to basically batten down the hatches, run as lean as possible and wait for the dust to settle. Things are getting back on track with a day job. We will be okay. but I'm probably going to have a month or two without any money coming in, so gonna have to ride that out, style it out. It's all part of the sort of experience. Being a contractor rather than an employee, you need to kind of roll with the punches sometimes with stuff like this. But it was still a bit of a shock, and it all came on very, very suddenly. I'm glad that I've been in a position to just say, right, we're going to have to, move some assets on and bring the cash in. Very fortunate to be able to do so. But that is why I will not be bringing you any more videos with the Dacia Spring for now. I'm tempted to buy another one in the future, but maybe we'll ride it out a little bit, because all these ones that are going out on cheap PCP and cheap lease, in 2 or 3 years' time, they're going to be really, really cheap. So maybe that'll be when we'll see the Spring return. I don't know. I do have something inbound very shortly, which will become as a surprise to you. Now, I ordered this before any of this stuff kicked off, and it was too late to cancel it. And so very, very soon, you'll never guess, Citroen Ami is being delivered. So we're bringing a Citroen Ami back to the channel. Citroen were having a bit of a crazy fire sale on Ami, and some big discounts and really, really, really low PCP payments available. So Ami is coming back, and I'll bring you more on that very shortly. But that is it for this video. Unfortunately, that is what has happened to the Dacia Spring. I'm sorry I couldn't bring you more content with it, but needs must, and there we are. And as I say, we'll be back in the swing of things very shortly, probably in a Citroen Ami. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.